This episode was made possible thanks to the support of our fantastic patrons. You guys are truly awesome. One day, every pillar will be a tree, and every hole a glade. Hello everyone and welcome back to Affinity for Commander. My name is Alex and today we're looking at the best commanders in green and white. As always, if you see any cards in the list that you wish to purchase for yourself, be sure to head over to TCG Player through the affiliate link in the description below. It really helps the channel out a lot and it won't cost you anything extra. Now, without further ado, on to the list. Number 5. So let's start things off with probably the most on-theme commander for green and white, Trostani, Selesnya's Voice. For 2 green and 2 white mana, Trostani is a 2/5 legendary Dryad with. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. And for 1 generic mana, 1 green and 1 white, tap Trostani and populate. Trostani is absolutely a commander looking for the big plays with large creatures and tokens to properly take advantage of both of her abilities. Rampaging Baloth Sandworm conversions, heck, even Advent of the Worm seems like it would be a sweet card here. The Baloths produce tokens to populate and gain you a large amount of life on entry. Sandworm conversion keeps you safe from flyers whilst making big boys in your end step. And for 4 mana you get a 5/5 with Flash that gains you 5 life, which is pretty good. Plus, all of these cards provide targets for Trostani's populating ability. Trostani's abilities seem to push her much more towards token strategies however, so cards like Anointed Procession and Parallel Lives are obvious includes. With the addition of the insane life gain coming from Trostani, other cards like Crested Sunmare and Archangel of Thune also now have real value in this deck. Oh, and of course, if you're looking to tactically laser strike someone from orbit, then Aetherflux Reservoir also works as a win condition, as does Felidar Sovereign and Test of Endurance, the former of which gains you 6 life when he enters. Or if you're looking to garner even more value rather than nuking the board, then Resplendent Angel is a great card to net more creatures, which in turn gains you more life when they enter. And producing flying blockers is something Selesnya definitely needs. Life gain and big threats that you can keep on populating. Very Selesnya. Number 4. Now I know I shouldn't be encouraging this type of behaviour by putting him on this list, but here is the one and only Kithkin advisor himself, Gaddock Teeg. For 1 green and 1 white, Gaddock Teeg is a 2/2 legendary creature who reads, non-creature spells with converted mana cost 4 or greater can't be cast. Also, non-creature spells with X in their mana cost can't be cast. Now the majority of Gaddock Teeg decks tend to have a similar theme, Stax. Now personally I'm not a fan of the more modern base Stax cards like Thalia, Guardian of Thraben or Leonine Arbiter. But cards that just hard shut down certain actions that your deck doesn't care about? Yeah, that'll make the table rage quit. Collector Ophi and Stony Silence not only shuts down any early game artifact ramp, but also any artifact based deck entirely. Sorry Breya, better luck next time. Thalia, Heretic Cathar, Blind Obedience and Loxodont Gatekeeper help to buy you more time by having your creatures enter tapped, their artifacts enter tapped, even their lands entering tapped. Tocatli Honor Guard and Hushbringer will also make any Rune or Yarok players want to grind up their own dice. And of course the hilarious action of flashing in an Aven Mind Sensor when your opponent cracks a fetch land. Priceless. In fact, this is probably one of the only decks that Vorinclex seems to be okay. Not because he isn't a jerk card for jerks, but because it seems to fit the "oh, could you not" theme that this deck seems to be going with. Honestly, there isn't a lot left to say. Play cards stop your opponent's decks from working, then win with big Selesnya coloured threats, and then just hope to be invited back next week again. Odds are you won't be, but you can still be optimistic. Number 3. Don't you just love it when a rules change makes an underappreciated card way more powerful? Well, I do. So here's Captain Sisay at number 3. For 2 generic and 1 green and 1 white, Captain Sisay is a 2/2 legendary creature with tap, search your library for a legendary card, reveal that card, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. Now, before we get into the main use of this ability, let's take a look at some lesser thought about tactics. Sisay allows us to tutor up any legendary permanent, so we can use her ability to fetch up all the best lands from our deck. Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, Hall of Heliod's Generosity, and Dark Depths are all excellent targets your opponents won't be expecting, with each giving you powerful effects in addition to increasing the amount of mana that you have to play with. Moving on to legendary artifacts and enchantments, the Immortal Sun, Akroma's Memorial, and Day of Destiny are a few of my personal favourites. But what about that rules change? You know, that one that made all Planeswalkers legendary? So now we can shoot up a Mama board wipe herself, Elspeth, Sun's Champion. Any Nissa Planeswalker we want. Well, except that one time she went a bit weird. Or even most of the Ajanis. And thanks to the same rules change that made Planeswalkers legendary permanents, you can now control as many as you want with the same name. So your dream of playing Gideon Tribal can finally become just that more of a reality. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the good legendaries in Selesnya that you can tutor for, but some suggestions for what to grab include Yiva, Nature's Herald, so you can tutor up a legendary solution to a problem and then flash it in. Shalaya, Voice of Plenty, to give your tutor machine some much needed protection, and Reki, the History of Kamigawa, to give green-white some really quite decent card draw. And now thanks to Dominaria, there are also legendary sorceries we can tutor for. One that seems purpose-made for this deck is Urza's Ruinous Blast, to wreck your opponent's boards, but leave the legendary tribal deck untouched. Beautiful. Versatile, with loads of different toolbox legends to drop at just the right moment. And an awesome ability. Repeatedly tutoring is good apparently. Who knew? Number 2. What's the one way to make sure you make it big on the internet? Cats. And our next commander has really taken that quite to heart. Arahbo, Roar of the World, is a 5/5 legendary cat avatar for 3 generic mana, 1 green and 1 white. He also has Eminence, which reads, at the beginning of combat on your turn, if Arahbo Roar of the World is in the command zone or on the battlefield, another target cat you control gets +3/+3 until the end of turn. His second ability reads, whenever another cat you control attacks, you may pay 1 generic, 1 white and 1 green mana. If you do, it gains Trample, and gets +X/+X until the end of turn, where X is its power. So, cats are 100% a viable tribe, especially thanks to the influx of new kittens added to the game in Arahbo's own precon deck. But why should we pick this cat over the numerous other legends? Why? Because of his Eminence ability, which lets you swing in for high damage early on, which is understandably terrifying. A 4/4 lifelink swing on turn 2 definitely seems OP with Sacred Cat, or 8 damage with Sky Hunter Skirmisher is also pretty good. Or how about just a plain old 5/4 Infect for 2 mana with Lost Leonin? But Arahbo also gets to enjoy the late game as well. A lot of cats have great synergies with equipment, such as Kemba, Car Regent, Barlon, Wandering Knight, and Sunspear Shikari, all of which can get kitted up at instant speed thanks to cards like Leonin Shikari and Sigarda's Aid. So we can get some great advantages for playing equipment, and this is not to mention another great legendary cat, Nazan, Revered Bladesmith, an equipment shooter that can grab one of the best pieces of equipment ever printed, Hammer of Nazan. This deck can put so much pressure on your opponent's early game and still sustain it into the late game thanks to the equipment synergies. And no, I'm not lying. Your opponents might think you are quite a cheater, but Arahbo is one of the most powerful commanders, and you get to play cats, which is always a plus. Number 1. And the number 1 spot is probably not a surprise, because cheap-costed creatures with powerful abilities are always good, and you can't really go cheaper than our number 1 spot. That's on mana, by the way, not price tag. Wow. Rhys the Redeemed is a 1/1 elf warrior for 1 hybrid green or white mana. He reads, 2 generic mana, tap. Put a 1/1 green and white elf warrior creature token onto the battlefield. And 4 generic mana and 2 green or white hybrid mana and tap. For each creature token you control, put a token into play that's a copy of that creature. This card by itself is a powerhouse at 1 mana in 2 colours. The deck already gets off to a flying start. Rhys's abilities are complementary to themselves so well, with being able to easily swarm the board with tokens and then double them for only 6 mana. If you've never played against it, Second Harvest is a great card in any token deck, and having that ability be repeatable on a creature is just fantastic. But Rhys also happens to have one teeny tiny other bit of important wording on his card, and that is the creature type Elf. Heck, he even produces elf tokens. Yes, if you're looking to play one of arguably the best tribes in all of Magic, then Rhys is definitely a commander to consider. Not only is he an incredibly cheap commander, but he's one of the few commanders that cares about elves and is in white. This is particularly great as you get to play cards like Anointed Procession for more token action, Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares for the best spot removal around, as well as cards like Rootborn Defenses or Unbreakable Formation to help protect your vast elf army from the inevitable board wipe that your opponents will definitely be trying to cast. Now you don't need me to tell you how broken elf ball style decks can be. Infinite mana and shooters for days are old hat at this point, but the solid addition of white to the mix on a commander that is, once again, only 1 mana seems a little bit overkill. Rhys overall has great power and versatility to go into just any token value deck, with a doubling effect built right into the commander. Alternatively, he can be one of the sickest elf ball tribal commanders in the game. And it is for these reasons that Rhys the Redeemed is my top pick for the best Selesnya commander. And that's it for our video. We hope that you enjoyed it. But now I want to know what you guys think. Are there any green or white commanders you think I should have included in the list? Or do you think our 1-drop legendary should have been further down the rankings? Whatever your thoughts, let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this type of content. Also, feel free to follow us on Twitter @4commander. And if you really like us, you could consider becoming a patron of the channel yourself. Links to all of these are in the description below. And as always, we will see you next time.